bring in ABC News medical contributor and infectious disease specialist Dr. Todd Ellerin for more on that. Dr. Ellerin, I want to get to President Biden's announcements that he just made, but I want to touch on Kane's point right now. It's been a year since this country recorded its first coronavirus case. What do you think we've learned in that year, and how do we move forward in a positive way?
Well, hi, Diane. I think one of the most important things we've learned is the problems with not having domestic readiness. Remember, we weren't one of the countries that went through SARS back in 2002, 2003. Many of the Asian countries that did were much more prepared than we were. I think the U.S. thought that we were better prepared than we were. Just to think that, you know, in the first 4 months, you had 100,000 deaths, and now just in this month of January, we will have 100,000 deaths. We're really behind. I think we need another pandemic playbook, and I think what we heard today is the start of a new beginning.
So let's talk about that, because some of the Biden administration's new efforts just announced include directing FEMA to create vaccine centers, having the Health and Human Services Department expand the pool of professionals who can administer the vaccine, having a liaison for each state. What stood out to you most?
Well, I think you just hit a lot of the points. I mean, when you think about capacity, he talked about the Defense Production Act. That's very important. That may be able to help identify where problems are and focus minds on solutions. In World War II, there were many different companies that made planes, jeeps, etc., irrespective of what they were making before. We were talking about logistics. He touched upon that with a specific plan, having FEMA set up hundreds of clinics across the country that are going to be able to have staff and space and supplies to be able to really increase the amount of vaccination. And then trust. Trust is really important. He's hiring Dr. Nunes-Smith to try to fight these disinformation campaigns. So you're really hearing specifics here, and I'm optimistic at a time when we're going through a very, very dark period in the history of the U.S.
And Dr. Ellerin, President Biden says it's likely to get worse. And one of the things he's trying to do is depoliticize masks, right? He tries to wear them himself. He's requiring a mask mandate on federal property and in interstate travel. How much of a difference do you think that might make if people just relaxed about it and did the right thing?
Yeah, excuse me. So, Terry, you know, for those of us in the front lines, I've seen firsthand what masks do. They significantly reduce the amount of infection, the amount of transmission. This is very important. Again, you know, when you talk about politicization, I like what President Biden said about the fact that key public health decisions are going to be made by public health leaders like Dr. Fauci instead of politicians. And he used himself, you know, specifically. He's not going to be telling us the specifics, but his COVID-19, you know, task force team will, and I think that's critical.
You know, on that note, he stressed overall the need and the goal of restoring public trust. He's setting up a health equity task force, and he says that we, the public, will be hearing directly from Dr. Fauci. How important do you think that is to accomplishing that goal of restoring trust in the process, but also of just getting the country to work together against this virus?
Trust is so important, Diane. I mean, I think one of the biggest problems, besides not having the domestic readiness to tackle this virus, is really mixed messaging. Mixed messaging. We didn't have a singular voice. You know, in the prior task force, we had very talented people, but when we heard that message, we also heard mixed messages, and oftentimes there was not a singular message. We're going to hear singular messages now. Remember, when you're dealing with a pandemic, that message is not always correct. Sometimes we have to check it and adjust it, but you're going to hear something from the experts, and that's key.
All right, Dr. Todd Ellerin, it's always great to have you. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.